Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone from Cybersecurity Magazine. Today, the topic for discussion is 5G security. And together with me from Boch, Patrick.
Hey, Rajeev, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
And Anand Prasad from Japan. Hey, Anand, how is it going?
Hi.
Great. So, Anand, let's just start this conversation about what are the main overviews of 5G security, and how is it transitioning from 4G or a legacy network?
I think we should first talk about what is 5G as a whole, and then go into the security aspect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at 5G, this is the era when you are talking about a mobile network and solutions or functions of the network becoming completely virtualized and thus cloud-based, from radio onwards to the core network to all the services can become virtualized. At the same time, you get much higher data rate, and you get different kind of IoT services. Low latency IoT services, and then very high speed, and which have really time critical, like vehicles and stuff like that. So you have a whole variety of things, and then mission critical and so things will also come on top of it. That is 5G. Yeah. If you want to add something to it, otherwise I can go towards the security aspect.
Let's go to the security aspect, I think, because I think that's what's interesting.
So now, if you look at this 5G era, where you if you look at the past, there were boxes, and each box could have its own hardware security and stuff like that. And now you're going to a virtualized era. So when you talk about 5G, there are many use cases. There is an API that's open to everything. There is a virtualization, and there is a mobile communication 5G part on top of it. Yeah. So security for everything becomes important. Let me just the virtualization security, the use case security, the API security, the 5G, the mobile communication part security, that all of these becomes important. So let me just touch in this discussion today on the specific 5G, the mobile application part. Actually, that's on top of all this infrastructure. So you were asking, Rajeev, going from 4G to 5G. I think we had that discussion as well, Patrick, about that point. So if you talk about 4G, and there has been quite some research and showing issues there. 4G is a very secure network, but still we saw the issue with interconnect, the SS7 and diameter signaling related issues. The IMSI, that's a subscriber identity going in clear, and therefore different kind of attacks are visible. And there are other things, but one more point that was shown by researchers was that because the user plane part doesn't have integrity protection, so they could change it and then perform different kind of attacks. So in 5G, the things still happening, but the base of 5G that came out by 3GPP, that's a mobile communication standard, and the security group SA3, there were several enhancements. Let me just pick a few things. Of course, for when it comes to interconnect security, the signaling part, we have a proxy now there. It's giving you the interconnect security. Yeah. Then after that, when it comes to 5G, from the first message onwards, you can give security protection. Yeah. And in terms of identity, when it comes, there is a SUSHI, the concealed identity. So you have public-private key pair with which the identity is concealed. Yeah. So again, that part is secured. The user plane also has integrity protection. Okay. So that again, the issue from 4G is secured, and there are many several other enhancements. Let's look at the authentication part. So you have unified authentication in 5G. So you can have different kind of authentication solutions that can be run over a mobile network. That's something novel, and therefore that allows, for example, vertical networks, IIoT, if you want to call as well, for these also provide their own authentication mechanism. Yeah. I think let me stop at this point as a highlight of 5G, 4G and then moving towards 5G security. Yeah.
So
And then maybe go into one question which came to my mind. You mentioned PKIs for 5G security to encrypt identities, and I assume also data. We recently had some articles on quantum cryptography or post quantum cryptography. Is it easy to change the encryption in 5G?
Is it so? In terms of let's look back when we were doing the work, we did think about quantum computing coming in play, and then the attacks that might happen. Yeah, of course. The fact is still that the quantum computing and the attacks that can practically happen should take time, but you never know how the technology enhances. We think the algorithms that are there should be fine, but if not, if issues even happen, you always can have some genius person who cracks any algorithm, not only the quantum thing coming in. The system is designed such that you can change algorithms. Yeah, cryptographic algorithms for confidentiality, for integrity protection, for authentication, all of these can be changed. Yeah.
Okay, that's so you have a certain what was it called? Cryptographic agility, right? That's I think the term.
Yeah, if you want to say that. Yeah. So currently there are two algorithms worldwide that can be used worldwide or is used worldwide, and the third one that China also wanted. So AES, No3G, and Zook. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that can be replaced and new ones added as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So there's a lot of changes from 5G to 4G, and I understand that also makes the security topics, which were in the past only relevant for ICT security, IT security, information technology, relevant for 5G. What is the direct impact for the user from 5G with that increased security?
Yeah, so you're right. 4G to 5G, we did do quite some enhancements, and with the changes, there's other things like key refresh and different keys being used. In terms of user, I mean, you do get better and enhanced security. That's what it is at the end. It's not just the network. Yeah. For example, if signaling security issues would happen, of course, most operators have protection for that. They had to add extra things in the network. If issues would happen, then a user, for example, could be followed, yeah, worst case. Yeah. And since the security solution is already there, the user, that will not happen. Yeah. Attackers will always find new ways. And of course, we who are trying to save will find better ways to secure as well. So users at the end have enhanced security. And now you said IT related combination. Yes, you're right. I mean, we are talking about a mobile network that becomes a cloud native. That's how things are designed using standard IT specific protocols. And therefore, which makes the whole playground very interesting business wise. But if you look at it from security perspective, therefore you have to consider IT security aspects as well. You know, in the virtualization security aspects and things like that, you'll have to bring them in place. So, yeah.
So more from the perspective of the user. So those who are following this podcast, this recording, what should they be perceiving from the new generation of mobile communication? What are the changes, or what should they be implementing in their devices or in their communications? As obviously we are talking about virtualization of multiple things.
Actually, for the users, the virtualization part should not have any impact, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because if you look at a user space,
but there's just a moment. So the way I look at it is because there's so much news on 5G and there's so much news on cybersecurity, there's a perception, or rather there would be a perception in the minds of the users. What is it they can do to ascertain that they have they're secured? Because a lot of lot more things are connected now in their house, for instance.
Maybe let's define what user is, and a lot more things connecting, and a lot more common ways of connectivity, of course, increase the footprint of attack. Yeah, that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's look at users on different perspective. So let's see one side, in a traditional sense, user or consumer like you and I using our mobile phone. Yeah. Enhanced security in the network over 5G. Of course, everyone benefits with that. But there will be people, you and I will also be using devices, smart devices, even faster or things like that. Certainly, then the network the service provider can protect your services, yeah, that you're using on the device. But at the end, it's on you to protect. Yeah, so you should have security solutions in your device, or take care that you get the services from the service provider. Next thing is that potentially the enterprise, it's also traditional business. Enterprise connects to the operator as well for services. And for that, again, they should consider security, or the operator service provider should consider security for them. Now, let's look at the user differently. Now, the user is also potentially a business partner, yeah? And therefore, the concept of slicing comes in, and you can slice the network, and say one car company starts using it for its cars, one a motorcycle company or a factory starts using it. Look at it there. My advice to them is actually, depending on the size of the business, they should, in general, be away from the overall network management. Yeah, there's a lot of things. They'll get into completely different things. But if you look at security perspective, the work needs to be done, but they could use the current database for authentication, for example, their identity management, for example, and use it over the 5G slice. Yeah, they'll have to work on that. How exactly it should work, how the settings should happen, the details are still to be taken care of. But the 5G gives you provisions to use that. Yeah. So that's something beneficial from the industrial IoT or vertical or private network perspective. Yeah. And then if you think about getting into the overall cloud kind of solution that Patrick was saying, and therefore the different existing solutions come in, there are solutions out there which you could combine and get better visibility and better control as well. Yeah. So these, if you look at the space, user space like this, then there's the API part where you connectivity will come with partners. API security certainly needs to be considered to the extent of what are the business logics and things like that. Yeah.
You mentioned private network. I think this is something fairly new for 5G as well, that essentially you have the possibility to set up your own network as an enterprise.
Yeah.
How much effort is it compared to, say, a regular network? I mean, a lot of this stuff can probably be done using Wi-Fi for enterprises, couldn't it?
Yeah, so I had some discussions on this. So that's not specifically security, but if you look at industrial IoT or such things, then Wi-Fi can provide you service. I completely agree with that. I worked on Wi-Fi when the word Wi-Fi was actually defined, and the point being that as soon as you go to unlicensed spectrum, that means issues can happen. Yeah, but that's a radio part of it. And if you the delay side with the new Wi-Fi and with 5G, of course, there is more delay, much higher data rate and things like that. So things can be taken care of. So there, of course, you might say there isn't much difference. But from security perspective, I haven't checked latest Wi-Fi security enhancements. Yeah, I do know from the mobile perspective, mobile communications perspective, mobile communication systems, because of the business size and the impact on the society being the critical infrastructure, of course, we have always considered enhanced security for it. Yeah, so that could be a simplistic answer from my side on that aspect. Yeah.
Okay. Now, 5G. I know that you, Anand, has been busy with the sort of first 5G network, or first fully virtualized 5G network in Japan from Rakuten Mobile. Other countries are not that far yet. I mean, if I look at Germany, I know that there's some proof of concepts, but I don't think any 5G network is really live for the broad masses.
Yeah.
How much time do you think will 5G take to sort of take over the world, like 3G or 5G has 4G has done in the past?
So I need to correct you over there. Yeah, now I have my own company, Winnovator, and a few months back I was a CISO of Rakuten Mobile. And the network is what we were saying is 5G ready, but 4G was deployed actually. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was all cloud native, so that you're right about that. And when you talk about being cloud native and all those stuff, then basically you're talking about same thing as what 5G is telling to bring in, yeah. And only the radio part becomes different. There's some terminology and stuff like that that does become different as well, but okay, let them aside. So in that sense, you're right. When it comes to 5G taking over the world, I think that should move quite fast. When 3G, after the 4G came, 4G rapidly took over. In terms of 5G, what is out there today, 5G is already out there today in many countries. In Japan, also you have at least the three existing operators, they have deployed 5G. But initially NSA, what it is called NSA, is non-standalone. Basically, you use the 4G core network, yeah, and therefore you have some enhancements on 4G security to allow this non-standalone 5G to have security keys as well and be secure. But the discussion that we got into was 5G standalone, yeah, where the core and everything is cloud-based, and that's where you're talking about Rakuten Mobile. But there's also Dish Networks, I think, is discussing the same. But there are actually others who haven't been talking much about it, but they also have at least the core in the cloud, yeah. So time-wise, difficult to say. Depends on adoption, but I think it will be faster than probably 4G. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. 4G took quite a while to take over here in Germany. I know that. So.
Okay.
So do you anticipate, I know we're moving sort of away from the security aspect, but I think it all sort of leads into it. Do you think the lifespan of 5G, so to speak, before 6G or whatever the next generation is called, would be longer because of the changes in business model, everything being so much more dynamic as opposed to 4G, which was pretty straightforward? I mean, you just have a better technology, higher bandwidth, and you have the same guys providing the services.
Yeah, so in the industry, it has been that every 10 years, a new mobile communication standard comes, yeah. And standard comes because technology changes and there are also market demand. Yeah? It's not just technology, yeah. 5G, the design itself is extremely modular, yeah. You can just take one piece and replace it with some other vendor, for example, one small part of the network, yeah. But of course, for that, management becomes complex. But you're right, it does allow a lot of flexibility. That is the beauty as we have come to 5G. But at least my personal thinking is that when you will still come to 6G in the same cycle of 10 years. I do think that 5G itself is, as we are speaking, is being enhanced. Yeah, newer technologies are being added, new solutions are being added, new services are being added. And if you want to see, we went from 3G to 4G, for example. Yeah, and we came up with new technologies. IP could go for the first time towards your mobile device to the end. Yeah, the IP address, I'm saying, because the technology was there, this could be done. Yeah, there was no voice actually in 4G network as it was designed. Yeah, we moved away from that. When you came towards the end of 4G, it has IoT, it has which includes V2X, and it has mission critical and everything. So what is the difference from the first step of 5G? It is almost all the same thing, yeah? Yeah, only with much more enhancement, everything is integrated. You're not adding on top on the side. Now we are seeing many technologies coming, yeah, AI, blockchain, and or DLT, if you want to say, and all the other things. I think that in this 10 years time, demands will increase. 5G will again have patches, and to take care of patches, you'll have to have a new architecture that takes care of all these things together. And in 10 years time, you'll come to 6G again. I'm pretty sure the market will also demand for that. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, when you mentioned that IT security, information technology security, and mobile security are sort of growing together, what are the most important aspects to sort of lead over to the next conversations like this, which we're planning? What are the most important security aspects we will need to talk about considering 5G?
I think let's look at the whole picture at a very high level. Specific, we should cover 3GPP, 5G security, what it is, yeah, and that's a whole bunch of things that I talk about. Authentication is there, and then interconnect security is there, and things like that. Then we should cover the virtualization part, be it what is called virtual machines or containers, yeah, at a high level. And then after that, of course, the scenarios that are there, IoT or IIoT aspects, yeah. Then you have the API related aspect, and then connecting to different partners, okay. And we should not forget the identity management part as well, yeah. So all this is actually quite big, and I can go into a few other aspects. But for example, when we talk about virtualization, then we can talk about the core part and the radio part, and then the business enhancements that are happening towards edge computing and putting some services there as well. So that also becomes interesting part as well. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
If you want to use the words Open RAN, Virtual RAN, MEC, MEC, and things like that. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're noticing. The virtualization is definitely a key aspect of it, obviously. And correct me if I'm mistaken. We are noticing players like Facebook, and I'm sure there are others who are in some form stepping into providing network services as well. What do you understand from that? Where is that heading? Are there other players, and is my understanding correct in this aspect?
In terms of we are moving quite far away from security. Yeah?
Now, why I'm getting to that, I'll explain to you, because in my mind it sort of everything adds sort of back to security, because until the previous generation, we had incumbents essentially who were providing these solutions, and the security was essentially in that ecosystem. Now we have number of players who can step in and provide services, network services, right? How do you actually unify all of this into a single security across all the networks?
Yeah. So it all depends how you look at these things. If these players become a service provider, they have to consider holistic security that I say, yeah, complete thing. Be it their physical security, they'll have to consider that, or enterprise security, or mobile network and other services. And if they are just partners to any of the operator, be it a vertical or private network provider, then they'll have to consider security for that kind of connectivity and communication that's happening. So there are many different aspects that needs to be considered. I certainly agree with you. What is happening is, with that, the footprint increases. That's beautiful. Connectivity comes everywhere to everyone, much better. But every participant in this whole value chain and the solution product life cycle will have to consider security from a very holistic perspective. Yeah. Okay.
So let me just add another information to this ongoing conversation. That is, Anand is editor-in-chief of Journal of ICT Standardization, and some of the early publications on 5G standard releases from 3GPP as such have been published by this journal. And security, it has been one of those areas which have been quite extensively covered. And I expect there'll be there are several more issues planned in the forthcoming issues, publications in the journal. Anand, you want to add something to that?
Yes, that's true. It's there are phase 2 security aspects as well, and virtualization, network function virtualization aspect is there too. We have a new one also coming on, other enhancements associated to it, like AI aspect is also published. Yeah, and I think we have quite a bit in our cybersecurity magazine as well on this 5G and all the aspects associated to. Yeah.
Yes, I think there will be more articles on 5G security in general. Thanks to you, Anand. You already mentioned that there will be some articles by you to get deeper into the topic. But I think for now, at least I had a very good overview, and I'm actually looking forward to some more deeper discussions, especially on things like IoT, IIoT, mission critical things, because that is definitely something which we didn't have before, neither with 3G nor 4G, and I think that's what really makes the difference from 5G to earlier deployments of mobile networks and mobile security in that sense.
True. I look forward to this.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, and stay tuned. There'll be more such podcasts coming.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to communicate with you as well. Yeah.
Thanks.